the divorce diet, the rage clean, even the glow up. Some of these things are actually red flags that we are masquerading as coping skills. So let's talk about it. Hi, I'm Josie. I'm the host of the From Devastated to Divorce podcast and a separation survival specialist. And today I want to talk to you about many things that we do as women dealing with an unwanted separation and divorce that we think are productive. And we call them coping, but really what we're doing is avoiding the healing journey, avoiding even accepting where we are. I mentioned in an earlier episode about the divorce diet where you're like, well, I'm not hungry, I'm not eating, I lost weight because of my separation. And yeah, that happens. And you're like, cool, now I fit into my, size 6 jeans. I haven't fit in whatever. But why is that? You're not just losing weight. Your body is reacting to a really traumatizing situation. So we might want to see the positive of that. And for me, as I had said in this previous episode, I wished that maybe of all the other terrible things that I was feeling, that maybe one of them would have been weight loss. Didn't happen. But had it happened, you have to analyze and be like, why is this happening? You can't just celebrate that you're losing 20 pounds in a month. You have to say, shit, my body is really going through something. And maybe it's reacting that way because I'm not analyzing it in my mind. What about the rage cleaning? You're like, this is great. I've got all this time to focus just on having my house spotless. I don't have him underfoot doing this, that, and the other. Now I can just focus on cleaning, and you're cleaning and cleaning and cleaning. Maybe even bleeding your hands from all the hard scrubbing and stuff that you're doing because you're not even noticing that you're putting all of the emotions and all of the pain and all of the suffering that you're trying to avoid into the cleaning. But you're like, this is just me being productive. I am being productive. I'm not just laying around in bed crying. I'm being productive. Yes, but is it the right kind of productivity for what you're going through? Is having a spotless house helping you deal with the abandonment issue of your husband asking for a separation or divorce? No. Is the no appetite helpful for you in the aspect of having to be up and aware for your kids? No. If you're not hungry and you're not eating, you're going to be weak. That's just normal. I'm not a nutritionist, but that's just normal. You've got to push past these things and recognize and allow yourself to acknowledge what is actually going on. We take on a lot of things because we need to feel like we're in control. And it's an illusion in the aspect of your separation because you cannot control what the other person does. You can't control whether he wants things to end or not. You just can't. So you grab onto things that you can control, but are these things that are going to help you move forward in this journey? And then you don't want to stay still. And then you are feeling like, if I keep moving forward on anything, even if it has nothing to do with my separation, then I look like I am thriving. Because again, I'm not just sitting around, I'm moving, I'm doing stuff. But you are fooling yourself. In this time, all of these coping mechanisms, there are things that you need, but you also need to stop. You need to stop and you need to feel. You have to allow yourself to feel the emotions. Otherwise, all you're doing is avoiding the inevitable, and setting yourself up for a greater fall. Because this defense mechanism that you've put up is having you like run away from what you have to acknowledge. And the moment that you do, It's going to be harder. It's going to be harder because you may have made some really bad choices along the way. It's going to be harder because you have been denying it for so long. It's just making it harder on yourself. So what you have to do, what you must do, is avoid these little tricks and these little maneuvers and live in the moment, live in the emotion, live in the pain. You have to. There's no way around it. You have to go through it. I know there's a saying and I'm probably butchering it, but you can't avoid it. You have to accept that this is happening to you. You have to recognize where you are. You have to acknowledge the emotions that you're having, and you have to figure out a way to continue to move forward in your journey through the separation with the emotions and feelings that you have. Hiding them, blocking them, ignoring them is not going to work. You might live months, you might live years ignoring it and bringing outside influences and doing all of these other things and living some sort of existence, but you're not whole and complete and clear because you didn't deal with it. You didn't deal with it. And so 5 years down the line in a whole nother relationship, it might hit you and you'd be like, what the hell? What am I doing here? Why am I here? Or they could leave you and break up with you again. And you'd be like, why? How am I back here? How does this happen? How does this keep happening to me? It's because you didn't take the time. You didn't give yourself the honest chance. You coped, you deflected, you pretended, you ignored, but you didn't stop. You didn't analyze. You didn't do the work that it took to heal, to get yourself to a place where you can be healthy enough to have a new relationship, to not have a new relationship, to have a great life, to make smart, healed choices. That is so important. That cannot be skipped. It cannot be skipped and have a healthy, productive life. That's just the reality. You can have a life. You can have another relationship. You can have more children. But are you being true to you? Are you being honest about where you are? Are you being fair to you? Or are you continuing to live by the validation of others? These are things that are painful to confront. This is why we do all these coping things. This is why we deflect and ignore, because thinking about this is scary. Thinking about this is painful. Confronting mistakes that we have made. I've made plenty. I had to recognize how I was not perfect in the relationship, how I made mistakes in the relationship, how part of the things that I did caused my relationship to end. I wasn't perfect. I understand that, and you have to acknowledge and see those things. But if you don't, how can you learn and grow and be better? And always remember your worth and your value, which is one of the most important things. So forget about the fad diets, forget about the rage cleaning, forget about the glow ups, forget about all of these things that are put there to distract you from healing, and focus on the healing. It's going to get you where you want to go way easier than all this other stuff. I promise you. So if you find yourself like, wait a minute, I think I am kind of doing that. I'm trying to skip all the healing and jump to a whole new relationship, jump to a whole new me, I think that changing my look, changing my vibe, changing my surroundings is what's going to do it, but I'm not changing here, then let me help you. Start by getting the free chapter checklist, which is going to tell you where you are emotionally on your journey. Where are you? What are you feeling? What are you living through? Where are you? And once you figure out where you are, Then you start moving forward, understanding that it's not going to be easy, understanding that you are going to have to acknowledge the emotions that you're having and work within those to move forward. You can't stop the emotions, but you can understand, I feel this way. I feel heartbroken. Of course I do. My marriage is ended. He wants things to be over. He's with some other chick. Of course you're heartbroken. And in that heartbreak, you can take small steps forward. You must take small steps forward. But what's forward? What's next? How do I move forward in my healing? Those are the answers that the checklist will show you. And then an extension to that my course will guide you through. So start with the free checklist. See where you are. Get an idea, ground yourself, figure out, X marks where I am right now. And then you can see where you want to move forward to. You can find it down below. You can find it in the show notes. And with that, I leave you. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.